right, the last thing that we're going to do is just have a quick glance at derivatives of our basic basic trigonometric functions. So if I think about f of x being sine of x, so I can see that my derivative of, here's my sine x, derivative appears to be cosine x. So let's think about that. At this point 0, I have, so let's put in a comma f of a as a point. So as I drag this along, I can think about my slope. At this point is where my slope is the steepest. And then it becomes less and less steep until at this point the slope is 0. So I had a very steep slope, there's my highest point, and then it got less and less steep, but was still positive. So my derivatives here, my tangents, and I could put in the tangent, so I could do y minus f of a equals f prime of a times x minus a. So as I drag my orange point along, I can see my tangent line. So my slope is still positive, but it's becoming a smaller number. My slope is less steep, and now my slope is 0. Now my slope is negative, and down here is the point where it's the most negative. It's its steepest negative slope, and then it becomes less negative until it's 0 again. So I can see that my derivative of sine is cosine, and it makes sense as to why that function fits if I trace the tangent. If I change my function to cosine, I can see that my original function is cosine. Here is negative sine. So it appears that derivative of cosine is negative sine. And I can see that that, in fact, falls on top of my derivative function. In my formula booklet, I also see this. Derivative of sine is cosine. Derivative of cosine is negative sine. Later on, we're going to prove that derivative of tan is secant squared. But we're not going to look at that just yet. So coming back here, derivative of sine is cosine. Derivative of cosine is negative sine. Doesn't need to be memorized. It's in your formula booklet. Also, slope is 0. Slope is negative until here. Slope is still negative, and then slope becomes positive again. So slope is positive in all of these areas. So I could always sketch it, but you're always going to have your formula booklet. So there we go.